Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the full review for this Pixel 9 Pro Fold smartphone. And I have been actually using this one as my primary smartphone for the last 10 days. And if you guys know me, I am actually a user of the Fold smartphone. This is the Samsung Fold 6. I have used the Fold 4, Fold 5 and the Fold 6. So I'll also give you my opinion about it after moving from the Samsung Folds. When I moved to this one, what was my experience? In fact, it was a very pleasant experience, to be very frank. But again, everything is not perfect. So I have divided this review into three parts. First will be the good things and the things that actually surprised me. Second thing is expected stuff that we would see, but could have been better. And lastly, not so good, and some of the bad things that I have with this smartphone. So that's how broadly I'll divide it. But first, I have to talk about this one, and this is in the not good section, and this is regarding the design of the smartphone. And if you notice, this is the Fold 6, very symmetrical, I would say, this outer screen. But if we come back to the outer screen of this one, yes, I like it's wider. But if you look at the sides of this one, this side is fine, it's flowing with the design of the phone, it's curved. But why should it be curved over here? This looks actually very odd, I would say. So in terms of looks, I would say from the outer screen, this does not look good. I would say it does not look that, gives that professional feel. This actually should have been like this, and I don't know why this is like this. This feels like a Pixel 9 Pro that was just slapped on this one, because the dimensions are exactly like the Pixel 9 Pro. So here I would say in terms of design, they have done a lazy job, to be very frank. But I like the width. I'll talk about that later. This is considerably smaller, as you can see, compared to the Fold 6, how thin it is. And that makes a huge difference. But first, let's talk about the things I liked. Okay, moving to the first good thing that I liked, and many of you have asked about this one, and that is regarding the heating issues on this Pixel 9 Pro Fold. And I have to say, here I'm very happy to say that this smartphone does not have heating issues. Yes, it has the Tensor G4, but I think so this one also does not have any heating issues, because this one also has that vapor chamber, which is found on the Pixel 9 Pro and even this 9 Pro XL. These also did not exhibit any heating issues. And I was very surprised with this behavior. But generally, any new smartphone, when you are setting it up, initially installing all the apps, it gets actually pretty warm. Even the Fold 6 got that pretty warm when I was doing that. But this hardly felt warm. And even actually 2 days ago, I had to travel to Chennai for about 2 days, and I was using it exclusively only on mobile data, that is 4G and 5G. And then also the handset did not get warm or something like that, barely just warm, I would say. So that way, I would say they have actually completely solved the heating issues that used to riddle these Pixel devices. And I think so that is due to the excellent vapor chamber that they have put, and this one also is having that vapor chamber. So if you're worried about that, the heating issues, that is completely solved. And that also helps in battery life. I'll talk about the battery life, because that is also one thing that actually surprised me. Okay, the second thing that I liked about this smartphone, and I think so that's the biggest difference, I'm actually liking this smartphone more than the Fold series, and that is because of this outer screen. If you notice, if I unlock this one, the outer screen is a lot narrower on this one, but whereas on this Pixel Fold, it is actually just like a regular smartphone. So when you're using the outer screen, and trust me, I have used the Fold etc. for the last 3 years, outer screen is the one that you'll use about 70% of it. That's how actually I use. So here I was using it like it felt like a normal smartphone to me, very fluid. Again, you don't have to worry about the performance. The Tensor G4 handles everything, butter smooth and all this thing. But it felt like I was using a regular smartphone rather than a Fold or a compromised outer screen. That is what it is. And even because it's a full width screen, typing etc. was a very good experience. That is something that I always struggle with the Fold, though I have used the Fold for many times. For typing fast, I make typos if I'm using the outer screen. So that is completely solved on this one. And the second thing that I really liked on this smartphone is that this smartphone, though it is actually technically heavy, 257 grams or something like that, the weight balance has been done well. And because the smartphone is so thin, just notice the Fold 6. Fold 6 feels very chunky. This one actually feels like two smartphones slapped together, but this simply does not give you that feeling because it's very, very slim. That's why even when you use it in single hand like this does not feel awkward or something like that. It just feels like a normal phone you're using. And when you open it up, again, this has a very big screen. It's 8-inch screen, slightly bigger than the Fold Fold 6 that we have. As you can see, the aspect ratio is slightly like different, but yeah, this is slightly bigger. If you see, as you can see, it's bigger. So that's what it is. Regarding the crease, some of you have asked me. Again, the crease is visible, I would say, on both the devices. This is unlike the Vivo's Fold that I had, that had a considerably less visible crease. But if I have to nitpick, I would say yes, the crease is slightly more on the Fold 6, slightly less visible on this one. But again, if you start looking for the crease, it's there. But when you're generally using the phone normally, you will not notice that crease like this. If you're using the phone or something like that, you will not notice it. So that way, I would say I like the slimness of this phone. As you can see, it's so super slim compared to the Fold. So here I would say Samsung needs to buckle up now. It's a huge difference. Again, when you hold it and you're using it, this is a huge difference that makes in usability of the whole. So that way, I would say, because of the outer screen that is so big and the inner screen being so slim, I don't mind it. In fact, I have been actually using it like this one. I would say 80% of the time I'm using it like this. But whenever I want to consume multimedia content, or I get some big files like PDF, etc., I use the inner screen to use it. Moving to next thing that was a surprise for me is that this one also was giving me actually very good battery life, so just like the Folds. Though these Folds actually don't have very huge battery capacity, but I'm very happy to say that Google has optimized this one like crazy. In fact, I didn't charge this smartphone today, and it's it's 11:30 in the morning. Yesterday, if I recall, I had taken it out of the charger around morning, I don't know, 6 or 7 o'clock. So let's see the battery life. It's still, I have 55% battery left. And if I go to this, if I go to the battery stats, and if I go to battery use, as you can see, yesterday I had actually morning, I don't recall, 8 o'clock in the morning I had taken out, and still after about 4 hours to 20 yesterday, and not a very heavy travel, but again, still, as you can see, 4 hours 20 minutes of screen on time, still I have 55% battery left. So the battery life that I'm getting on this one, even when I traveled to Chennai for past 2 days, when I was there, even just on mobile data, the battery life was good. That day I was completely out on the field. I had to go to the Ford Business Solution, so I was entirely out that day. Morning, I think so, I must have taken out the phone of the charger at 6:30 in the morning, and at night at 10 o'clock I still had 35% battery life left. So battery life is not an issue. In fact, let me actually show you some battery stats. I've taken some screenshots. I like this new screenshot. For example, this was one of them. As you can see, again, about 1.5 days worth of usage, and I did not charge it, and still had about 19% battery life left. Here it is showing 19% it was left. Let me actually show one more stat. Okay, here, let me so here I had 16% battery left. Again, about 1.5 days between charges and 8 hours of screen on time. So easily, and again, 7 hours 46 minutes of screen on time. So this was very, very surprising to me. The battery life that I'm getting on this smartphone is actually really, really good. In fact, if you're sort of a casual user, even if you forget charging at night, next day it'll probably last you for half a day. And if you're charging it daily, daily at night, I would say it'll last easily for a full typical working day without any issues. That was a very, very surprising thing for me. Battery life is optimized very well on this smartphone. One thing I don't like is that, and this is typical to all the Pixels, again, the charging speeds are pretty slow on this one. I think so the maximum it was taking was just 21 watts. So again, if we want to charge it fully, I would say it will take about 1.5 hours to charge. So it's high time Pixel needs to up their charging, these 21 watts, 27 watts, etc. Just not that great, I would say. But again, the good thing is that if you are a person who's charging at night, the phone idle drain is also very low. That will last for a typical working day. Okay, next thing is regarding the cellular call quality. I have been using it with my primary SIM, that is Airtel, and again, as I've told you, I even traveled it, so even in roaming and stuff, I did not have any issues with, what do you say, earpiece or even the network reception. In my house, I also used it with Wi-Fi calling over Airtel, and it worked fine. In fact, I have two networks, that is ACT, and even I have Geo Air Fiber, and I've used with that for even Wi-Fi calling, and it worked fine. I did not test it with Geo SIM, because the thing is that, again guys, be aware of all the Pixels. There will be one physical SIM, but the second SIM is actually the eSIM, so I couldn't test by Geo SIM. Anyways, moving to the next thing is, this is a very surprising thing. Of course, this phone gets adequately bright in outdoor conditions. Generally, most of the flagships, even the Fold 6 is very good in outdoor conditions. This can go also very bright. So even in outdoor sun, it's actually adequately bright. You don't have to worry. But I like the fact that when you immediately come in an area where there's very, very dull lighting, almost at night when I close all the lights, for example, my wife asks all the lights to be closed at night, but I still like to work. Many of the phones simply do not go that dull, even at that zero brightness, and they hurt your eyes. But this one went very, very low automatically. So the auto brightness calibration has been done brilliantly on this smartphone. I would say one of the best. In fact, in the last 10 days, I did not have to come here and fiddle around with this auto brightness sensor on the smartphone. So that way they have calibrated it actually pretty well. Okay, moving to the next thing is call quality. I have already spoken. Okay, regarding the camera performance, again, back again, we have a triple camera setup on this one. It is not as powerful as this elder brother, I would say, Pixel 9 Pro XL, but I would say the camera performance is satisfactory for me. Here are some of the sample shots that I have taken when I was just using the phone normally in the last 10 days. And if you notice, the color reproduction, the skin tones and everything are very good. In fact, I would say that the pictures look a little bit more punchy. So it does boost that little bit of saturation, but most of you would like it. In fact, that it also has that 5x zoom on this one, and that also works very well. For example, as you can see, the shot, this was 1x, and here I zoomed to that 5x, and it produced a good shot. In fact, digitally also you can zoom more than 5x, and here also it does a good job. But the only limitation is that here I think so you can go maximum of 20x. For example, here at the airport I was there, I was just looking at that, I zoomed in 20x and I got that. With the Pixel 9 Pro XL, you can go even further at about 30x. So needless to say, I would say in terms of camera performance, to be very frank, as a normal user, if I'm not just doing side-by-side analysis, this camera setup is actually good. But yes, again, if I start comparing it with the Pro XL, yes, the camera on this one goes slightly ahead. But again, only if I start comparing and if I want to go to the mega zooms and stuff like that. But overall, I would say I was happy with the camera performance that I was getting on this one. Is this the best? No, I would say that way. I would say the Pixel 9 Pro XL camera is the best. Okay, moving to things that I would say could have been better. So okay, the first thing is regarding the speakers on this one. Again, this one also has stereo speakers, and it's actually pretty interesting. I like the alignment. If you notice, one speaker is over here and the second one is here. So however you hold, you are not going to block the speakers on this one. That's a good thing. And also generally you get a better stereo effect. But what I have noticed is that the speaker loud...
During at that time, everything was okay. Nobody thought it will crash, but it did. But now since I understood, I learned.
That touch response is very good. Okay, the speakers as I was talking is that good, but among the flagships, I would say I've noticed that the speakers on the this Fold 5 or even the Fold 6 are louder than this one. So I felt that in terms of speakers, it could have been slightly better. Don't get me wrong, it's not a deal breaker, but here I was many times I would say in this environment like this where nobody is there, it's perfectly fine. But in slightly louder environments or stuff like that, I had to keep the speaker levels at about 95% volume. Whereas the same thing in that same environment for the Fold 6, I would have kept it just at about 80% volume. So definitely in terms of speaker, the Fold 6 speakers are louder. Next thing is that, again, in terms of haptics also, the haptics are done well on this one. You have that typical Pixel haptics within the UI everywhere you have it. That's not a problem. But I felt that the haptic feedback, the intensity has been reduced a little bit compared to some of the earlier Pixel devices. So here, if you are a little bit nitpicky, I would say, you will notice that the haptic intensity, the vibration mode is slightly less on the smartphone. Next thing is, I don't know why it's still 10 days. I feel that the opening of the fold is still very, very stiff to me. Generally, if I talk about this one, this is actually a lot easier to open like this. As you can see, I can easily open it. But this one, I have to put a conscious effort. Maybe it's just because this is so thin that I don't get a grip and it's difficult for me to. So that is something that I've noticed, and still it is actually pretty stiff. And again, I have to be careful about it because it just slips like this. So again, this is something that I've noticed. Maybe it's just because this is so thin, your fingers are not getting that grip. And the good thing is that, let me just show you. If I have something like this, you can prop it up like this in this direction, like this, it's open, and it will stay like this. So this fairly stays like this. So the stiffness of the hinge is good, just like the Fold 6. The Fold 6 also, you can just prop it up in any direction, it will stay. So that's the same case even with this. Only after here, it just goes back. One more thing I liked is that this one, if I just open it up, goes a lot flatter directly like this. So it's a lot flatter. So completely flat like this. And I would say, as this is having a slightly bigger width, you can go to the desktop view also on websites, and you get a slightly bigger canvas compared to the Fold 6 because of the bigger screen. But again, for videos and stuff like YouTube, for example, if I'll just open this up. One thing I like that it is using the what do you call this is the tablet layout. If I open a similar video on the Fold 6, let's some video random, I don't know, I'll just, as you can see, this is not opening it in the tablet view. This is the default mobile view, but here they have optimized it for a tablet view. So that is something that, so you get a row over here and all this thing. In terms of multitasking, yes, you can do multitasking split on this one. For example, let's open the browser, and if I open this one, if I tap this, I can open one more app and I can put it here, and I can move around with this one. So for multitasking, it's good. Even if you get a notification, you can drag it so it goes in split screen mode. But again, that's what it is. You can't add 3 apps or like 4 apps you can do with the Fold 6. For example, pop-up app functionality that we have on the Fold series, Samsung Fold series, is simply not there. So that is one nitpicking that I have. I personally do not use that for multitasking. Maybe my Twitter feed is here and I'm just doing something here. I generally use 2 apps, but if you're a person who likes to use more than 2 apps, that pop-up app functionality that we have on the Samsungs is not there on this one. You can also pair on this. In fact, I would say in terms of RAM management also, I did not have any issues. The RAM management was good, and this one actually has that 16 gigabytes of RAM. So that is actually more than what do you say, the Fold. The Fold has 12 gigabytes of RAM, and I've heard that Google did it intentionally because of the AI models and all of that. Yes, I won't talk about AI, that is the Gemini AI that we have on this one. If you just hold the power button, you get access to it. You'll just know, you can talk, you can do the Gemini live and all these things. But I have already made a dedicated video regarding the AI features on these Pixel smartphones. That's the same case even with this one. So I won't get too much into that. Next thing is regarding the fingerprint scanner over here. It's at the top. This is the power button that it is there. And in terms of functionality, it's very, very functional. In fact, I would say it works slightly better than the Fold 6 here. Sometimes, sometimes it will. So that way it is very, very good. But one nitpicking I have is that, I don't know, this power on-off button, which is a combination of the fingerprint scanner, this button is a little bit mushy, I would say. a little bit more mushy. It's not as firm as the button I'm having on this Pixel 9 Pro XL. So this is slight nitpicking that I have. Functionality wise, very functional, but this button is a little bit mushy to my liking. So that is what I have noticed. So these were some of the nitpickings, I would say, decent things, but could have been improved. But now coming to some of the things that I do not like, and some of these are specific to India. For example, Pixels are famous for built-in functionality of something called call screening and spam protection. But that feature, I searched and searched, I simply could not find it here in the units sold in India. So that functionality, that automatically it will take calls, spammers call, and do all that spam protection and all this thing, that is not there. Also, I noticed that they also advertise a feature called call notes, where you're just talking to a person, it'll transcribe the calls automatically and all this thing. That option also I could not find on this one. So these are some of the features that are present on Pixels that are sold in US and stuff like that. That functionality is not there, because I feel that call spamming protection or whatever they have is something that is sorely needed in India, because 80% of the calls that I get are actually spam calls. So I'm starting to see that feature is not there. I hope Google India implements that with the software update. Next thing is, now this is sort of nitpicking. This is not strictly, I did not encounter any issues, but the general performance of this smartphone is very good, very blazingly fast, I would say. Even multitasking, again, no issues that I have noticed with this one. So that way I don't have a problem. In terms of the processor, I would say it handles well, no heating. But again, I have to talk about this one. If we compare the raw benchmark performance with something like the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 that we find on the Fold 6 and stuff like that, in terms of raw CPU performance, when you're running the benchmarks, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 will be about 35 to almost 40% faster than this one. Does it hamper the performance of the smartphone? No. But I feel the gap shouldn't have been this big. Yes, I know Google is doing a lot with AI. A lot of AI processing and stuff is done locally on this, and this is optimized for AI. But I feel when we are paying so much, the performance gap shouldn't have been that much, to be frank. Does it affect me? No. But that is something that I have noticed. And also, one thing I feel Samsung has an advantage. The Fold series, if I don't recall, from Fold 4 they started, I think so, Fold 4, 5, 6, even this one has the stylus support. Yes, the stylus is you have to buy it separately, but you have full S Pen functionality. So if you are a person who wants to use the inner canvas for writing down notes, jot notes, etc., I know some people who actually went with the Fold because of that. That sort of functionality is simply not present on this Pixel Fold. So that is also something that you need to know. And lastly, I have to talk about this, is the pricing of this 9 Fold in India. The MRP price on Flipkart, I was checking, is 1,73,000. That makes it the most expensive smartphone in India for the base variant. This is for the 256GB variant. And I feel Google, this is their first Fold that they're launching in India. They should have been a little bit more aggressive. Yes, some of you will say this 1,73,000, what price is there? There is a 10,000 rupees discount if you use some specific cards. So yes, it might come down to 1,63,000. But the regular price of the Fold 6 is 1,65,000. And I was checking just Amazon before making this video. We have a 15,000 rupees discount on the Fold 6 if you use some credit cards like ICICI cards or whatever. So that brings it down to 1,50,000. So I feel there is still a big pricing gap between the Fold 6 and the Fold 9, Pixel Fold 9. So I feel Google could have been a lot more aggressive in the pricing if they were serious to get a lot of sales. Don't get me wrong, it's a very good foldable device. I do not have an issue. Only thing is I am opening this, I have to be careful about it. And I like this size of this one. This size, outer screen size, is very practical, I would say. That way, I would say in terms of functionality also, I like it, overheating. But definitely, the pricing of this smartphone is quite high, so that might be a very difficult build for you to digest. But what do you guys feel about this Pixel 9 Pro Fold? Do let me know in the comment section below. Anyways guys, this is Ranjit and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care guys.